Hello, everybody. This is Gerald Salenti, and it's Thursday, December 15th, 2022. 10 days before Christmas, my true love said to me, da 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 da. Anyway, here we are. We're giving you trends in the news you can use that you can't find anywhere else in the entire world. There's no magazine in the world that comes close to the Trends Journal. Go to the Cartoon News Network. Look up the front page stories. Moderate Republicans weigh retribution for McCarthy's foes. What the fuck do I care? How's that helping me as a trend forecaster? How's that helping you as somebody that wants to prepare, prevail, and prosper in the times ahead? Because the next one is on all day long, 2 days. Yep. T-Witch's tragic death stirred public shock. Expressions of grief and confusion. Yeah, it's sad at what happened, but public shock. I don't know who this guy is. And people, commit suicide and die every day. This isn't trend worthy. This is not journalism. This isn't news. This is
bullshit detected. Take precautions.
For almost 160 years, a Cezanne painting had a secret hiding in plain sight. What the fuck are you putting out there for? There's the shit they're shoving down our throats. This is Cartoon News Network, CNN. So we're giving you everything that we can. And this last week's Trends Journal, again, over 150 pages. No ads. This Christmas, stop the wars, be a warrior for the Prince of Peace. Again, regardless of what religion you believe in, does your God believe in war? And that's all these scumbags in the media keep selling, war and hate, not a peep about peace. Hey, it's Christmas time. And we'll get to some important things about Christmas time in just a second. In the meantime, the stocks today took a big hit. They were down almost 1,000 points, 950 points. And then they reversed a bit, and they closed down 764 points. And you know why? Stocks fell sharply Thursday after new data showed retail sales declined more than expected in November. Oh, that's all they talk about Christmas, by the way, retail sales. It's the only thing they give a shit about. Black Friday. I find that racist. Anyway, so the retail sales, by the way, that does not include accounting for inflation. So the retail sales are down 0.6% in November, according to the Commerce Department. And when you look at inflation at 7.1%, retail sales were down a lot more. And then when you put in the real inflation number, as John Williams Shadow Stats does, you have real inflation around 15%. So sales are way down. This thing's going down big. And now they're talking about bringing interest rates to 5.1%. But still, you have a 7.1% inflation rate, so you really have negative interest rates. And you have much higher inflation. But the economy can't take it. This is a story. I want to get this straight to everybody listening. Go back to 2018. When the markets crash in December, it's not a good sign. The clown playing president at the time, who the only thing that he did, that he promised to do, was to lower taxes for the bigs, the private equity groups, and himself, Trump, put deep pressure on Jerome Powell, the Fed head, to lower interest rates because the economy was going down big in the stock markets. And he did. In January, they announced that they were going to lower them. And it turned it around. So if the markets go down heavy in December, it's not going to be a happy new year. So get that in your head. It's the way it goes. Very important. Yep. The NASDAQ was down 3.2%. The S&P 2.49%, and the Dow 2.25%. The NASDAQ today, year to date, from its high rather, is down 31% in 2022. So it's deep in bear territory. Bear territory is 10%. But don't worry, when all else fails, they take you to war. What followed the Great Depression, World War II. What followed the dot-com bust, the war on terror. What's going to follow this crash? World War III has already begun, and we're going to be annihilated in a nuclear war if we, the people, don't stand up and fight against it. Fed's half-point rate rise sets tone for slowing increases across the Atlantic. This was from the Financial Times yesterday. The Federal Reserve raised its benchmark policy rate a half percentage point, blah, 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 blah. Now let's put this into perspective too. Now anything on variable rates goes way up. So all that office, commercial sector, warehouse, all the commercial real estate, you got a lot of variable loans. They're going to pay way more. Oh, and the $31 trillion debt of the United States, now you got to pay more debt on that. And then you look at the emerging markets. The dollar goes up when interest rates go up. They got to pay more money. Their currencies go down. They got to pay a lot more dough. So again, taking a globalnomic perspective, now you're going to start seeing people taking to the streets and protest the lack of basic living standards. Government corruption, crime, violence. You think you got an immigration and refugee problem now? Ain't seen anything yet. Again, putting the whole story together. Going back to this, so the Fed, this was the news yesterday from Financial Times saying that they're going to be easier in raising interest rates over there in Europe. Another story yesterday of the Financial Times, falling factory output offers ECB more scope to slow rates. And this is, by the way, the fucking
bullshit. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. That is bullshit. Bullshit.
absolute fucking bullshit. And not the kind of fucking that I like. But anyway, this is what they say. The 2% move on month-to-month drop in factory output across the bloc ended a period in which manufacturing growth had remained relatively resilient. You ready? Despite soaring energy prices caused by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That is an outright fucking lie from the scumbag Martin Arnold from Frankfurt. Fuck you from the FT. It's a total fucking lie. Calm down, Salenti. Swallow the shit. Be a good coward as they take us to war and sell us lies. The energy prices went up because of the fuckfaces that put sanctions on Russia. Dickhead. Shithead. Martin Arnold. You're a lying prick. Russia never wanted to stop selling its stuff. Oh, who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline? Fuckface. I should say, be proper, pipelines. Who put the sanctions? We're going to punish Putin. Fuckface. Oh, that was Biden. Punish the people. Punish the people, but this is the propaganda that they keep selling. And that's why you subscribe to the Trends Journal. We give you the truth in trends. ECB hikes rates see significant increases ahead as it announces plans to shrink balance sheet. Hey, wait a minute. That's today. Whole different story. The European Central Bank opted for a smaller rate hike at its Thursday meeting, taking its key rate from 1.5 to 2%, but said it would need to raise rates significantly further to tame inflation. I could go on. You'll have more in the Trends Journal. Total fucking bullshit. It hiked by 75 basis points in October and September and 50 basis points in July, bringing rates out of negative territory the first time since 2014. They've been pumping cheap money in since 2014, negative rates and quantitative easing, buying up corporate and government bonds. The merger of state and corporate powers is called fascism. All you folks over there in Europe, according to Mussolini. Now the bullshit about this. Then you have inflation in Europe at 10.6%. And you got a fucking interest rate at 2%. That's negative, dickhead. This is serious. They're going to raise rates more, right? But they say that the recession coming is going to be relatively short-lived and shallow. Yeah, these are the same fuck faces like Miss Fatsha Brut, Janet Yellen, saying that it was temporary and transitory. Yeah, we're the same age. Man, I can't imagine dating her, man. Woo! Malone to me. You know, where does she look like? You gotta, going out with a chick like this, man? Woo! Gotta really be desperate. Same age. Look at this. You believe the shit spewing out of her mouth? Wrong on everything. Anyway, moving on. Defaults on U.S. junk loans to surge as rates rise. Bites. Yep. The Federal Reserve's most aggressive pace of interest rate rises in decades is set to trigger a surge of defaults over the next 2 years in the $1.4 trillion market for risky corporate loans, according to Wall Street banks and rating agencies. No shit. Only said this was going to happen several months ago. But hey, they say it now, so it must be true. And again, what the Fed is doing, total fucking lies. That Goolsbee, perfect name for him, a Goolsbee over there. It's going to be the Fed head over in Chicago. And Janet Yellen pulling out the fucking bullshit on 60 Minutes on Sunday. Both of them saying that the problem with the inflation is because of supply chain disruptions. Not one of them admits it's because of all the cheap fucking money that the government pumped into the economy to fight the COVID war. Stay home. Don't worry about it. Here's some money. Hey, don't worry about it. Here's some money. Over for your business. That's okay. And bringing interest rates to zero so the bigs could get bigger. And merger and acquisition activity climbing in 2021 to an all-time high. And they blame supply chain disruptions. And now this Wharton professor, Jeremy Siegel said, he goes, talking about the Feds, talking about Powell, quote, now he's saying there's a supply side problems in the labor market that may raise wages, and we have to crush the wages in order to stop inflation. Did you hear that? We have to crush the wages in order to stop inflation. We have to crush the plantation workers of Slavelandia, 63% of whom are living paycheck to paycheck, because we have to stop inflation. Isn't that nice? Again, going back to when you're looking at wholesale, with the sales going down, retail sales going down, people are buying less already, and inflation's wiping them out. And now they want to keep their wages even lower. So welcome to Slavelandia. Don't forget to vote. Retail sales fell 0.6% in November. Yep. And again, this number is not adjusted for inflation. So it's a lot worse. And you see what they're doing right from the word out of the mouth of Jeremy Siegel. They're saying that they want to crush wages, crush the plantation workers of Slavelandia as the rich get richer. In China, many still stay home. Yeah, the COVID war is still going on. I'm mentioning that because things don't bounce back, and they're not going to. What's happened with the lockdowns, the COVID war, has destroyed the global economy in ways that are incalculable. Incalculable. Falling building values spur tax appeals. The sharp decline in office building values is likely to become a growing problem for the budgets of cities, schools, and other jurisdictions that depend heavily on property taxes from their building owners. This is from the Wall Street Journal. We've only been saying this now for over 2 years. This is just becoming news. And not only is it going to, what they'll do is they'll raise the taxes on we the little people, property taxes. But the big thing is interest rates are going up. Office occupancy rates are way down. They're not going to come back. Remote work is a reality. People go back 2 or 3 days a week. Now, variable loans, as interest rates go up and their businesses are crashing already, you're going to see an economic crisis, the likes of which are unprecedented in modern history in this sector. And what they're doing is that they're looking for tax cuts because, they're saying the property values went down, so they want a readjustment to reassess the properties. Quote, "We're definitely appealing," said Oliver Carr, chief executive of Carr Properties, who estimates office values are down, you ready? 15 to 40%, depending on the building. We have higher interest rates. We have less demand for space. The math just doesn't work. We warned about an office building bust going back to the spring of 2020. And now, as we're going into 2023, they're just talking about it. And that's why you subscribe to the Trends Journal. History before it happens. Nearly half of young adults in the U.S. are living at home with their parents. Isn't that great? You know why? When asked about incentives to move to parents, 51% of young adults said it was to save money, and 39% of them said it was because they could not afford rent. Welcome to America, the land of opportunity. So put all the trends together. Oh, retail sales are down? Look what's going on. And the COVID war made situations much worse. We're going into a third world nation, but the rich are going to get bigger. Thoma Bravo to take Coupa private at $8 billion deal. Amgen agrees to buy Horizon Therapeutics for $28.3 billion. Isn't that nice? Everything's fine. There's a Wall Street Journal article today. Anti-Semitism on the rise at colleges. College campuses have long hosted heated debates between Israeli-Palestinian conflicts, but now students say anti-Jewish antagonism is on the rise, and blah, 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 anti-Semitism. So anti-Semitism is on the rise at colleges. But again, what's going on is what's going on in Israel. We'll talk about that later. But anti-Italianism is on the rise on Wall Street. Actor rips crypto as largest Ponzi scheme in history. Ben McKenzie, the OC in Gotham, this is the Cartoon News Network, has been one of the most outspoken critics of celebrities endorsing the cryptocurrency industry. Actor rips cryptos as largest Ponzi scheme in history. Don't call it a Ponzi scheme. Call it a Bankman-Fried scheme. Got it, Mackenzie? It's anti-Italian. Ponzi only ripped them off for 20 million bucks. This thing went down for 32 billion. And how about that guy named Madoff? Yeah. That Madoff, according to CNBC, nearly $70 billion. Why don't you call it a Madoff scheme? Same thing on television. Hey, Sopranos, hey, how you doing? I want to see more of the movies of the Drunken Irishman. Yeah, I want to see more of the movies of the Jewish banksters. Oh, that'll be fine. Oh, you anti-Semite? Oh, you could do it to the Italians? I'm tired of this shit. It is not a Ponzi scheme. It is a Bankman-Fried scheme. Stop this anti-Italianism. I've had it with this shit. When I got in the business world, I'll never forget, in the mid-70s, and I'm flying all around the country. I'm the number 2 guy at 30 years old of a major trade association. And I'm going to places like Alabama. Nice guys, like wonderful people. Gerald, how you doing, baby? Hey, you're a New Yorker. Tell me about the mafia. What, are you kidding me? Tell you about the mafia. But that's the way they do it to the Italians. I've had this shit. You on Wall Street are anti-Italian, so cut your fucking crap and call a spade a spade. It's a Bankman-Fried scheme. It's a Madoff scheme. Stop calling it a Ponzi scheme. Schemers. Speaking of schemers, Senator Schumer says Ukraine aid will be included in omnibus bill. Senate Majority Leader Chucky Schumer, said that more funding for Ukraine would be included in the upcoming omnibus spending bill. $37.7 billion more to Ukraine to bring U.S. spending on the war to about $105 billion. Senate Majority Leader. Yeah, a majority leader of shitheads. A majority of scumbags. A majority of little fucking pricks. And I can't say the other word. But on the top side, you had Thomas Massie, who was opposing the Ukraine money, and Massie joined Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene in sponsoring a bill that would require an audit of all funds the U.S. has authorized for Ukraine. But that resolution was voted down. U.S. braces allies for higher Ukraine costs. According to the Washington Post, Washington is reportedly bracing its European allies for a worst-case scenario in Ukraine, suggesting that Kyiv may need its donors to pony up an additional $12 billion. Hey, don't worry, $2 billion each. Don't worry about it. You can't afford rent, living paycheck to paycheck? Don't worry about it. We're sending all the money to Ukraine. Shut the fuck up. Be a good plantation worker of Slavelandia. Don't get angry. Report. U.S. molds sending small number of troops to Ukraine to track weapons. Isn't that nice? NBC reports that Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, the guy that was formerly the head, on the board of directors of Raytheon, the second largest defense contractor, now our Secretary of Defense, is considering increasing the troop presence to enhance, ready for this, the oversight mission, but also to ensure that, quote, there are experts in the country to help Ukraine use critical weapon systems, end Quote. You mean Americans firing these sophisticated weapons into Russia? You got it? We're at war. This is what they call mission creep. Small number of troops. The Intercept recently reported that the U.S. Special Operations Forces acknowledged that CIA and personnel are also inside the country. We're at war with Russia. If we don't unite, look, don't do anything. Be a coward. Believe what they're doing. I'm not talking about you people because you're listening to this. That's not who you are. But all those other people. If we don't stop this, it's finished. And I'm doing everything I can at 76 years old. I'm fighting for the spirit of 1776. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and no foreign entanglements. I believe in the founding fathers. Now, I don't believe in little fucking pricks and shitheads called Obamas and Bushes and Clintons and Trumps and Bidens. I believe in George Washington. I believe in John Quincy Adams. I believe in the founding fathers, that no foreign entanglements. And I'm not an isolationist. I'll go anywhere around the world I want. If you got a problem with your family, that's your business. It's not mine. Got it? And this is no threat. No threat to America, what's going on with NATO. And stop your fucking bullshit about falling dominoes. I heard that crap with the Vietnam War. Oh, Vietnam? You mean now the country that now we import, the number 2 biggest importer of our clothing and shoes? That we killed over 3 million people there and poisoned the joint with Agent Orange and on and on and on? Anyway. That's just some stuff. Yep. Here's something interesting. Artificial sweetener aspartame, linked to anxiety. Yeah, keep taking all that shit. Keep eating crap. Don't worry about it. U.S. military chemical exposure worse than reported. Exposure to toxic forever chemicals on U.S. military bases has affected more than 3 times as many people as the Pentagon admitted, tainting the drinking water used by over 600,000 troops and family members, an environmental watchdog has claimed. It's bigger than that. Over here in Newburgh, just south of me, they got Stewart Air Force Base. The water all over there is poisoned. They do these drills, and all that crap from the putting out fires that's forever chemicals goes into the ground and into the water. They're killing us. They're killing us in 1,000 different ways. Are you worried about the COVID war? You ready for this one? New York Times. Emergency room doctors misdiagnose patients with unusual symptoms. Doctors fail to recognize serious conditions like stroke and sepsis in tens of thousands of patients each year. Each year, as many as 250,000 people die every year because they're misdiagnosed. The study released Thursday by the Agency of Healthcare Research and Quality estimates roughly 7.4 million people are inaccurately diagnosed of the 130 million annual visits. But they died of COVID. They died of COVID. And the hospitals got paid more money for it. You see the bullshit that they keep selling us? These are the facts. The facts are never talked about. Only the lies.
Bullshit level, DEFCON 5.
Yep. So here's the deal. Please consider donating to Occupy Peace. OccupyPeace.com, Occupy Peace and Freedom. Or the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice, freedompeacejustice.com. In 2023, I vow to do everything I can to launch and keep pushing these peace movements until they become a major global peace movement to stop this madness. Here's the deal. It's tax time. You got to pay your taxes. Rather than giving it all to the military industrial complex, donate to either one of these and take a tax deduction. And in doing so, you're helping yourself. If you want peace on earth, goodwill to all. So thank you for tuning in. And remember, check out yesterday's video podcast with the number one man when it comes to the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, America's freedom, where we should be and what's happened to us, Judge Andrew Napolitano, a true American. So thanks for tuning in. See you soon. From COVID war to Ukraine war to world war. Are you prepared for what's next? These are unprecedented times. What's next? What's going to happen? Read the Trends Journal. We have an unsurpassed track record of forecasting history before it happens. Subscribe to the Trends Journal. Read history before it happens. From the world leader in trend forecasting.